Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I am Laura with Treasure Data, and I'm very happy to be able to introduce you to our presentation this morning, which is Transforming Your Digital Advertising with the Power of First-Party Data. Before I introduce our presenter, I wanted to remind everybody that we will have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So you should see a little tab to be able to ask any questions you have during the presentation right below the webinar. So go ahead, ask away. We'll get your questions answered at the end. So now I would like to introduce Lakshmi, who is our Director of Digital Marketing, and she's going to enlighten us all more about how to better use first-party data in digital advertising. So good morning, Lakshmi.
Hi, thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today we'll be talking about how to effectively leverage first-party data within your digital advertising ecosystem. We'll also take that a step further and talk a little bit about how to leverage this data with other marketing channels you may be using. All right, so let's get started. First, a little bit about myself. I'm Lakshmi Ramesh. I head up the digital marketing practice here at Treasure Data and really focused on driving a lot of the marketing use cases on behalf of our customers. Three things that I'm super passionate about. First and foremost, data. My entire career has been based on data savvy roles, and I'm really interested in exploring how to drive the most value out of your data. Second, of course, comes the advertising and marketing space. I've spent a good 5.5 years at an advertising agency, trading desk setup, and got exposed to this really intricate and complex ecosystem. I love to keep up with the LumaScapes and all the players in that space. Lastly, also care about how you build organizations to be more customer-centric, more customer-focused. How do you respond to customers in a way that truly matters to them? All right, so today we will cover, first-party data essentially. We'll talk about different types of data we'll define what first-party data is. We'll go into why first-party data is valuable. Why should you really be paying attention to first-party data? We'll talk about how you integrate first-party data into your DMP, specific to, of course, your advertising efforts. We'll look at some of the key challenges to leveraging first-party data effectively, what some of the solutions are there today that you can use, and we'll cover some of the limitations of that. And lastly, we'll take a look into what I think could be the real solution to managing all of your first-party data effectively. All right, so there's three types of data: first-party, second-party, and third-party data. It's very important to understand that not all data is created equal. First-party data is really data that's collected directly from your company's products and customers. This is your data, completely owned and controlled by you. You decide how you collect it, who you collect it from, and what you collect. Examples of first-party data could be data you collect from your websites, your mobile applications. It could be data about customers and leads that you have in your CRM database. Again, this data is your data. It's completely accurate because you're controlling how you collect it. Second-party data, on the other hand, is another company's first-party data that you may want to contract. So an example of this would be a company like Nike or Fitbit, for example, may be interested in customers or audiences that are interacting with a fitness or health publisher site maybe. Now this data is also very accurate because it is another company's first-party data, but it does come at a price. You have to establish a direct relationship or a contract with that other company and pay them for that data. Now third-party data is essentially data that gets aggregated from a wide variety of sources. Again, this is available for purchase. It's a large, large data set that you can tap into, and it's really good from a scaling standpoint. What I mean by that is you can easily scale your customer base or the audience that you're reaching out to with the help of this kind of third-party data. Now, because you don't necessarily control how this data is collected and what you're collecting, the quality and accuracy of this data could be slightly questionable. So you have to pay attention to what kind of data providers you're working with in order to get access to this data. Now, of course, all of this data is at your disposal, but first-party data is still truly king. And we'll go into why first-party data is valuable. First-party data, as we talked about, is unique to your brand. It's yours and yours only. No competition has access to this data, unlike third-party data, which is really something that's available to anyone and everyone. This first-party data is extremely rich data about how your customers are interacting with your brand, how they're responding to your ads, for example, your marketing messages, your content or product recommendations that you may be driving with them, what they're buying from you, etc. And you can only imagine, right? This is super important to track. You need to be able to make intelligent decisions about what strategies are working and what is not, and you can make those decisions based on your first-party data. So we know first-party data is valuable. We want to be able to leverage it. How do we get it into our DMPs as a first step to leverage it for advertising? For those who are not very familiar with what a DMP is, let me take a minute to talk about DMPs. DMP or data management platforms are systems that hold all of your audience data such that you can easily segment them, you can target them. It gives you informative dashboards and tells you about what your audiences are converting, what your reach is, how many people are you reaching out to, so you can optimize your targeting based on those insights. It typically provides a third-party data marketplace as well. So it's embedded within DMPs where you have access to all of this rich third-party information, and you can scale the size of your audience that you're targeting very easily. Let's look at what comprises a DMP, some of the key components of a DMP. First and foremost, because DMPs aggregate data from a variety of online sources, DMPs help you unify a lot of this online data together. They typically do this using cookie syncing. They have partnerships across the advertising ecosystem to enable, translate cookies from one cookie space into another. Second, a lot of DMPs offer capabilities of data onboarding. That's essentially being able to convert your offline audiences to your online customers. So this would be taking data from, let's say, your CRM database and trying to see what online cookie or digital identifiers you can find for them so you can target them online. DMPs either have these capabilities built into their product, or they may be bringing several partners to the table that specialize in data onboarding. Taxonomy standardization is another key component because you have your audiences and you may want to segment them based on what matters to your brand. DMPs can enable you to standardize that taxonomy across the board, across all the providers, and be able to have a standardized way of segmenting these audiences. Lastly, identity management. That's really bringing online, offline data together, but also being able to target your audiences cross-device. So being able to unify all of your audience with a persistent identifier. What DMPs provide in terms of capabilities, first and foremost, audience insights. They tell you what kind of audiences you're reaching, what the performance is like for those audiences. They enable you to segment these audiences so that you can pick and choose what audience you want to target against what type of digital advertising channel. And you also have the ability to extend your reach by utilizing lookalike modeling within DMP platforms. So if you know this segment of audience work really well for me, you can translate that into an extended audience using audience extension and lookalike modeling. So let's look at what some of the challenges of leveraging first-party data into your DMP are. So first, of course, every first-party data source that you need to integrate with your DMP, you first need to build a technical integration. This means you need to involve your engineering or IT team and find a way to get this on their radar, right? These integrations are often, extremely time-consuming to maintain. APIs evolve over time, data formats evolve, so it requires constant care and attention. With that, you often lose this ability to be flexible, so you can no longer just plug and play your favorite partners. It takes long development cycles. Typically today, this happens via tags that you place along with your partner that you want to bring, or it may be raw CSV dumps that you push to an FTP site, an Amazon S3 bucket, and make it more of an offline batch process to get this data into your DMP. Now, DMPs also primarily only store anonymized audiences, which means that your audience is primarily identifiable through a cookie or a mobile identifier, and there's really no PII or personally identifiable information associated to your audience, so things like name, email address, etc. Now, this is absolutely sufficient from an advertising standpoint. You only need anonymized identifiers to reach your audience in an advertising ecosystem, but it does make it a little difficult to tie it together with the rest of your marketing initiatives, right? All right, so when you take a look at first-party data management across marketing, if your advertising ecosystem did not already look complex, you have additional systems that the broader marketing team probably uses and cares about. These may be systems like your CRM, your web analytics tool that you may be using, your email marketing systems, your marketing automation software, all the internal data that you may be tracking, transactional information, registration information, purchase history. The list is really endless. The data within each of these systems is super valuable, and you need these systems talking to each other. So you start by building these integrations one at a time. You integrate your CRM, let's say, to your marketing automation platform. You then build an integration to bring your web data into your DMP. And all this works, but only partially. You have an integration mess to deal with at the end of it to keep all of these systems in sync, and you still don't have a holistic customer view. That's really what we're after, being able to build a 360 view of your customers. Since a lot of these systems need to handle PII data, you need to take extra caution on how you secure all this data as well. That becomes super important. And of course, because you're operating independently with each of these systems, you end up with sort of siloed insights, right? Your CRM has a few reports, your marketing automation software has a few reports, your digital advertising systems have a few reports. They're not integrated. So is there a better way? The real solution in my mind is a hub and spoke model, really. It has your first-party data hub in the center connected to all your systems via easy plug-and-play integration. There needs to be a continuous sync between all of the systems, and in some cases, the sync may even be bidirectional. For example, you may want to ingest data from your CRM system into your data hub, and then push data back into your CRM system based on insights you've gotten from your data hub. This needs to be a data hub that marketers can own and control. It needs to have unlimited retention, ease of data accessibility. Marketers should be able to tap into this data when they want it, how they want it. It should allow for raw data access, so marketers have the most granular event-level data at their fingertips. This is particularly important when you're looking at custom analytics use cases. We were whether that could be attribution, it could be overlap matrix that you want to build, but really having access to this raw data gives you the ability to do custom analytics. And last but definitely not the least, security. This is sensitive customer PII data we're talking about. So you really need to be able to secure all of your data, ensure that you have full compliance to deal with this PII data. So I'll take a minute to sort of talk a little bit about how Treasure Data helps solve some of these problems. What Treasure Data is at the crux is a fully managed customer data platform. It has a lot of integrations out of the box for you to connect to all of your marketing systems in both real-time streaming fashion as well as a batch manner. You can use Treasure Data to unify all of this data together in a central repository and really get holistic insights. Build that customer 360 view. You get all of that raw data, access to all of that raw data with unlimited retention that I was talking about. You can enrich a lot of your first-party data using your DMP as well, so you can bring partners of your choice into the mix and integrate your first-party data and build that enriched audience profiles. You can segment these audiences, and we have connectivity to your marketing systems to activate these audiences as well. So if you want to activate this audience against your digital advertising channel, whether that's your DMP, your ad networks, exchanges, DSPs, what have you, you also can activate these audiences against marketing channels, whether that's email marketing, push notifications on your mobile application, website personalization. You can also leverage all this raw data to do some really deep learning, whether that's AI, machine learning type of capabilities. You want to build clusters of your audiences. You want to build predictive analytics into this mix. You can do that as well. So in conclusion, first-party data is really valuable. Pay attention to it, leverage it, not just for advertising through your DMP, but explore possibilities of how you can leverage it across your entire marketing strategy. You want to be able to collect and manage your first-party data in one place so you can segment once and syndicate to all of your marketing channels. Establish data ownership and accountability within your organizations for first-party data management. I think this is super important. Marketers need to be able to control this data and access this data to really get value out of it. And of course, lastly, the more accurate and complete your customer view can be, the better you can engage with your customers, the more relevant your messaging can be to your customers. All right, so that's all I had. Happy to take questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Lakshmi. So everybody, in the tab underneath your webinar, you can ask any questions that you have. Okay, and here, first one for you, Lakshmi. How do you connect your CRM data to your online website activity?
Sure, that's a great question. So CRM, as you know, is more of an offline channel. So you have things like name, email addresses that you may be storing within your CRM systems, whereas your online website activity is probably primarily cookie-based. Now, the first step typically for a lot of customers or brands is to unify them based on at least login information, some registration information. So if they've tracked online website activity of logged in or registered users, they are able to translate cookie IDs into email addresses that way and tie that back to their CRM database. That's like your first very rudimentary way of tying these two channels together. The more sophisticated way of doing it is really using data onboarding partners, like I was talking about, that specialize in converting offline data to online. You have a lot of great solutions out there that enable you, that have collected data, a large amount of data over time, and that enable you to find really good match rates between converting your CRM offline type of data to digital identifiers that you can then use to target in your online ecosystem.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question here. What capabilities, analytics-wise, should you look for when selecting CDP?
Another good question. So I think analytics is key when you're looking at CDP. There's a lot of solutions there that have, canned reports and dashboards. But I think I truly believe that's primarily just, scratching the surface of the kind of value you can get out of building a customer 360 view. I think the true value of this data is unleashed when you do custom analytics. Examples include attribution analysis, really tracing your entire customer journey across all of your omni-channel experience that you're delivering for your customers. That's one. I think overlap matrix is another big one, trying to find out what kinds of pages, what kinds of assets your customers are interacting with and how, and really getting deep into the weeds with that. Another example, more sophisticated use case would be around leveraging AI and machine learning. So whether that's predictive lead scoring that you want to do based on your customer base, it could be predictive churn analysis, predictive conversion analysis, what audiences are more likely to convert, being able to segment audiences based on that, and really using that to guide your marketing efforts. So I think the use cases are endless, but I think what you should pay attention to is, does this platform give me complete access to my data at the most granular level so I can build custom analytics on top of it?
Okay, great. I've got another question here. Can I use my DMP as a way to enrich my first-party data, and how does that work?
Yes, for sure. I think that's a great way to think about it from an enrichment standpoint. Once you've unified all of your first-party data in a central place, enriching data from your DMP, enriching data from really the third-party marketplace that a DMP makes available to you into your CDP or customer data platform makes a lot of sense. This is particularly beneficial to find out or guide your behavior-based targeting. So you can figure out based on your first-party data what behaviors are working well for you and use your DMP to then map those behaviors, do audience extension based on those behaviors, and target more audiences that exhibit that behavior. Technically speaking, how that works really is ensure that the customer data platform that you select gives you the ability to bring in those plug-and-play integrations that I was talking about. So giving you the ability to connect any DMP provider or any third-party data provider that you may want to bring into the mix from an enrichment standpoint. It's super important that your customer data platform is flexible from a data integration standpoint.
Okay, great. I think another question here. What kind of partners does Treasure Data have in the marketing ecosystem?
So Treasure Data is focused quite a bit around the marketing ecosystem and building out our partnerships around it. I think the most recent partnership that we announced was with IOTA, who's a third-party data provider. So I think on the integration side, we have a lot of integrations with marketing tools and systems out of the box already available. Email marketing channels, marketing automation, website analytics, to just name a few. On the activation side as well, we are starting to build out a lot of integrations around DMPs, DSPs, as well as marketing automation systems. We are also building out our enrichment capabilities, our data onboarding and unification capabilities. So building out partnerships around data onboarding, cross-device management, device detection, fingerprinting, building out a lot of capabilities around that as well.
Okay, great. So I think we're going to end it there. If anybody has any further questions, please go ahead and you can contact us at Treasure Data. We would be happy to set you up with a custom demo of our platform if you'd like to learn more. But we'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you very much, Lakshmi, for your time and the great information. And everybody, have a great day. Thanks, everybody.